Okay, this is a revised site plan, and basically area, and they added 2 great inlets with storm sewer piping to accommodate the change from the crushed limestone parking to the concrete in the rear of the building. Buster received this is just a picture of the existing building.
That's the indoor shooting range, is that correct?
That's
the proposed
correct.
indoor shooting range?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get with the, as I understand, there was a couple partners and one of them may have pulled out. Have you talked to any, and it's still going forward?
It is. Mr.
Okay.
Alford is moving forward on it.
Okay.
Right, these are just adjoining properties or surrounding properties.
Enclosed, air conditioned, all of that, right?
Yes, sir. Totally enclosed. The shooting range itself will be underground. The property was posted and the notice was published in the paper. We received 3 calls, but nobody was opposed.
Probably making sure.
Just inquiry as to what they wanted to do there, but when we told them, nobody seemed to have a problem with it.
Okay. All right. Any more questions on that? Okay. Number 2.
Okay, under old business, the next item was just a review of the text amendments. We had the hearing is set for Monday, but there were an addition for livestock and the other for wild animals. And then there was a section that was added to prohibit livestock, wild animals, and bees in platted residential zone subdivisions. We just wanted to discuss that today and see if y'all were okay with including that in the text amendments.
So why are we adding that?
We had an issue come up in a platted subdivision with an animal, and say you can or you can't, and so this was just to clear that up. And
why would you prohibit, I mean, you're talking about bees, you're talking about.
Some of our subdivisions are pretty big.
Some are. We actually had a complaint, a nuisance complaint, that involved chickens and other things, and he referenced bees as well. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to maybe address that.
Well, I can understand it in a subdivision where there's, 8,000 square foot lot. I could see where somebody shouldn't have a horse or any other kind of livestock because it ruins the quality of life for the people around it. But what about the platted subdivisions that have executive or estate?
5, 6 acres.
Right, and actually the wording is that those are excluded. It says if it's specifically set out or allow for the grazing animals, your horses, cows, etc. No pigs are included in that.
We
But
might can add a clarifier right here under. We can add a clarifier that it is unless otherwise allowed by virtue of the zoning.
it says except where specifically allowed.
Right. Yeah, she's got it in there. So.
So why wouldn't we, rather than, why not just limit it from the like R1Bs?
Instead of saying it's allowed,
Yeah.
I think that's probably, either way you do it, it'll work, but it leaves less interpretation. If you state the specific zoning designations of the area where the platted subdivision is located, it does clarify it. So we can come up with that one.
Yeah, because, I mean, I obviously see some platted subdivisions that you wouldn't want to raise them. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it needs to be tweaked to that. And then I know what you're going, where you are as far as like these chickens and things. Have been some where they, they didn't have one. They wound up with 30 and 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've specifically got one that's
So,
got a pig or two in theirs, and their holdings are really
But
close.
bees, I mean, what did they hurt?
Yeah.
We've had calls from neighbors who say they can't even cut their grass because of the bees and the bee boxes and things like that, so,
What size neighborhood are these?
well, that specific was not a platted subdivision, but the other nuisance property that we worked would have been a platted subdivision, and it was a large lot.
Yeah.
They had more than one lot in that
Yeah.
instance, I think. We
Number,
can
but
take
that's what
out
it
the
sounds
bees
like.
if that's what y'all want, you know, if you would
Yeah.
prefer it that way.
Well, some people have pet chickens too, you know. Complaint, and then we, you know, just go over some huge ordinance here that's going to affect 99% of the people.
Something, I mean, it comes down to just, it gets, one person messes up for all because it gets out of hand. And so, and I know some of the situations you're talking about, they had 2 ducks over there, or 2 chickens that didn't bother.
So how do you, I
That's
guess
the
that's,
problem.
how do they,
That's-
how do they
yeah.
control without an
I
ordinance,
know
or
it.
how, there's no way
I
to
know.
control that, because right now we do have a nuisance,
Mhm.
but it's really not a nuisance because it's not addressed in the, you know, in our zoning or in our
Yeah.
ordinances, so.
I see a need, I just think we might need to look at something to do with the density of the,
Ordinance,
Right,
but not every situation is spelled out in the control ordinance.
Right.
This is designed to pick up
Mhm.
uses through your zoning ordinance that would otherwise be permitted. So you don't necessarily violate zoning ordinance.
right.
Just happen.
So is this your suggestion for us to handle it this way?
My suggestion would be it sounds like y'all are having some misgivings about the bees, so we can take that out. I like the idea of spelling out the actual zoning sections that would, where this would be prohibited.
Like if we have an R1 backyard.
Yeah, and we can easily do that. My note has removed except where specifically allowed and replaced it with word residential zone subdivisions that are zoned, and then I've got ... spell out zone. So I'll get with Renee and we can put the actual zoning delineations that y'all want to see to it that you don't have livestock as defined. Down to small lots.
would come down to the density,
Yes.
I think, of the
Correct.
platted subdivision.
Right.
Yeah.
We have issues where people, they claim it's a pet, but it's creating a problem.
Yep,
They're like pot-bellied pigs.
Yes, sir.
that's, yep. That's one of the main concerns, I think.
Oh, well, people really do have those for pets though, don't they?
They really do. Would you love to live?
They don't necessarily stay small.
As long as they're in a fenced area, I don't
Okay.
know if it'd really affect you, would it?
The,
Not one, but a couple, or
the
3 or 4.
olfactory.
They're kind of like regular pigs in that sense.
Oh, they are, yeah.
Okay.
They're a pig.
Generate a lot of waste.
All right.
Everybody needs 25 beehives in the district at one house.
All right. Any more questions on that? Okay. New considerations.
The first item is a dimensional variance for Mike Roser Construction Company. They're requesting a 6.6-foot variance from the rear setback of 20 feet and a variance from the required parking spaces of 42 to 32 on the property located at 829 Highway 469 North. This is a 1.22 acre parcel that's zoned C2. White church on the property at the present time that will be removed, and they're proposing to build a 9,020 square foot building for a Dollar General store. These are the elevations of the building, and it shows that on the front and sides of the building, they'll have split face block. The color is light stone, and then the fascia dark bronze. Mr. Parker has reviewed the drainage plan, and everything was okay with that. These are views of the property. This is where the store will be built. This is the fire department. This is just a private garage on the corner.
Right.
And a convenience store
It's
of the store.
property's just to the left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Big, great.
Christopher
Improvement.
Logan with Mike Roser is here.
Great, be a great improvement.
Yeah, great addition to that
Yeah,
area.
you know
for
what we're
sure.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Got any questions on that? Need to set a public hearing for 9/2/14.
I make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Variance for P&Q developers. The property is on the south side of Castlewoods Boulevard. It's an 8.2 acre tract that's actually being developed in this phase. The dimensional variance is for lots 58, 61, 62, and 63 of Willow Grand 2 Phase 3. The property is zoned R. Showing those lots in the cul-de-sac that he's requesting a dimensional variance on of 5 feet from the rear setback of 20 feet due to short lot lines or side lot lines in the cul-de-sac that he believes prohibits building within normal setbacks. So he's asking for a 5-foot variance from the rear setback of 20. The preliminary plat's been approved and the construction plans, I believe.
You satisfied with it, Buster?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Bishop. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, next is a conditional use request for Jeanette Patrick at 916 and a conditional use for a 2016 by 80 manufactured home that's been placed on the property. This is an 8.16 acre parcel. It's zoned RE1. This will be the third dwelling on that parcel. This is her site plan. This is the actual mobile home that's already been placed on the parcel. And this is the third home. And these are just surrounding properties in that area.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for 9/2/14.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Morrison. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, next. It's in at 280 Mount Helm Road. They're asking to place a 2014 16 by 76 manufactured home on the property. It's a 1.037 acre parcel that's zoned RE1. This property is a piece of a family parcel of land that has been divided. There's a private road that this is Jeanette's lot and her father is next door. This is her plot plan showing where her mobile home will go. This is that private road and her father's property been split out. So if she's approved, all the property owners on the private drive will be required to sign a restrictive covenant document that states the road will remain private until it's brought into compliance with county subdivision regulations. This is just a view showing the private drive coming in off of Mount Helm. This is her father's house all the way at the end, or the back of that road. Here to the right.
I'll make a motion to set that public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Morrison. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, the last item under new business is CIA Autoplex is requesting a conditional use. On the east side of 471. It's a 1.97 acre parcel, it's zone C2. He's requesting to expand his existing business into the Mitchell Jones Seafood and Country Buffet building, the existing building. This is a picture of aerial view of the actual building. These are surrounding properties. All of the surrounding properties are the adjoining properties are zone C2 as well. And this is his existing business located on the west side of 471 inside the city limits of Flowood. Vehicles for sale on the property and continue with the same hours of operation, which is Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 6, and Saturday, 9 to 2. Cliff from CIA is here if you have any questions that you'd like to ask.
Locations in?
It would start out as 2 different locations, and hope to move completely over to the new location.
So you'll be moving out of Brandon? Is that what you're saying?
We're currently in Flowood.
Oh, in Flowood, that's right. Okay,
So I'm just kind of outgrowing the property,
right.
and I'm having problems with inventory, keeping it in. And the 2 acres would allow us to grow into the business.
See, that's right across from that shell at the corner of Baker Lane.
Right. Yeah.
You just move across.
And how many-
Across the highway.
Right. How many vehicles have you got you'd be putting there?
Currently, we're stocking
Right.
and it's been growing over the years slowly.
Right.
It's just gotten to a point where you just need that extra room.
So is the other area, is it all asphalted
The other area that I'm currently in,
that you're wanting to move to?
the front portion of it is, and behind the building it is not.
Behind the building. What's your proposed use, I guess, as far
Behind
as?
the building?
Yes, sir.
Eventually, I hope to have the entire property paved. We like a good, clean look, professional. I mean, it'll be sharp.
Right.
I don't have any further questions. I'll make a motion to set that public hearing for 9/2/14.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Brown. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. 6, looks like Mr. Slay's up.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, item 6 under new considerations is a nuisance hearing for the Joseph Tucker nuisance property at 268 Church Road, District 2. This time we'll open a public hearing. I'll ask if Mr. Tucker or anyone is here to speak in the Joseph Tucker nuisance property hearing. Anyone? Mr. President, I don't see anyone responding. Let's do the photos.
Okay. We've received complaints back into March. This is an old complaint that we've worked before in regard to all the inoperable vehicles. These pictures were taken March the 4th. Both of the certified letters were received. We haven't had any contact from the property owner.
The letters.
They've had personal contact.
Right. And these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday showing there hasn't been any change really in the condition of the property.
We set the number of days today.
Whatever action you want to take,
Yeah, actually, Mr. Wood, I think it'd be appropriate just to declare it a nuisance and allow Renee then to
I'll make the
take it straight up to justice court.
Motion by Mr. Brown,
Second.
second by Mr. Bishop to declare this. All opposed, like sign, motion carries.
Mr. President, item 7 is the Willie Buckner nuisance property, 290 Church Road, again, District 2. I'll open that public hearing. I'll ask if there's anyone to hear to speak on the. Mr. President, I don't see anyone responding. At this time, we'll close that public hearing. Renee can walk us through the photos.
all right, we received this complaint in March in regard to the inoperable vehicle being stored on this property. This is the pictures that were taken yesterday. The vehicle's still there. Both of our letters were received. We haven't had any contact, and there hasn't been any change in that property.
Yeah, I don't think that was going very.
That tag may be a little out of date.
Yeah, and no tires. Do I have a motion on this?
You do?
Motion by Mr. Brown.
All up through the,
Do I have a second? Second by myself. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries.
Mr. President, item 8 is the Judy Steen nuisance. This time we'll open that public hearing. I'll ask if Judy Steen or anyone on her behalf is here to speak in the nuisance property hearing. Judy Steen? Okay. Mr. President, I don't see anyone responding. We'll close that public hearing. Renee?
All right, this is in regard to a complaint we received about the inoperable vehicle shown here. These pictures were taken March 4th. Again, both of the certified letters were received. This is a picture that was taken yesterday. In contact.
Is that tag out, or is it just inoperable? Is the tag, I mean, is it?
It's been parked in the same place. It doesn't move.
They cut around it awful
I'm
clean.
not sure about the tag.
It's a nice car.
I mean,
Are we
even
sure?
that shot of the green grass, they keep it
That's
clean
from
around.
March.
I know, but flip that other one.
Yeah, flip the other one. All right. They're just cutting around it.
Yeah, but keeping it clean around it.
They don't have a tag or a picture, it didn't move.
Okay, so it's out of, everything's out of date, okay. Motion of the board.
motion, so moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Brown to declare a nuisance. Second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Mr. President, item 9 is the Chad Irby nuisance property review. This is 224 Cedar Street, District 3. This time we will open. Is anyone here to speak on that matter? Renee, this is a come back.
Mhm.
We asked Mr. Irby to return so we could review this today, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
These were the pictures that were taken May 28th of 14. We had the hearing May 29th. He needed to remove that dilapidated mobile home, cut the grass, clean. He did remove the mobile home. However, he has not cleaned up the rubbish and debris, and the grass has not been cut.
That was yesterday. Okay.
These pictures were from yesterday.
I'll make a motion, we declare this a nuisance.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Brown. Any more questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign.
You've already seen this property once before. Mary Chu,
Go ahead.
can't pronounce that
Go
name
ahead.
there. Mr. Bowie at 220 McKay Place, District. Responding to the last names of Chu or Bowie. Mr. President, I don't see anyone here responding, and so we'll close that public hearing. Renee?
Okay. These pictures were taken May 28th. That public hearing was held May 29th. He was to get the grass cut.
In fact, the guy here before, wasn't he the one that he didn't actually own the property, but
He said he and his brother had
something.
owned it
Partial
together.
It was, yeah, kind of confusing,
Partial owner.
yeah.
His name's listed on the tax roll.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, he did say he'd have it cleaned up too, right?
He did.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
all right.
Weren't there some,
Car, it was moved, but now he had moved it before we brought him in May. Or it had been moved.
make a motion to declare it a nuisance?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Brown. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, item 11 is the Robert J. Smith nuisance property. District 3 property. I'll ask for Mr. Smith or anyone on his behalf to speak at this time. I don't hear or see from anyone, Mr. President, so we'll close that public.
A nuisance hearing July the 3rd in regard to the inoperable vehicles on the property. These pictures were taken 7/2. And that they have not changed. The condition of the property is exactly the same.
Okay. Make a motion, we declare it a nuisance.
Second.
Motion by myself. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, item 12, under new considerations, is Dr. Charles Brown nuisance property review, 1145 O'Fannin Road, District 2 property. I'll ask if Dr. Brown or anyone on his behalf is here to speak. Mr. President, I don't see anyone. We'll close that public hearing.
Okay, Dr. Brown, the public hearing was held along the detention area at Regatta, where the grass and vines and weeds have overgrown. These are pictures that were taken April the 11th. And these are new pictures. It appears that Dr. Brown has sprayed like weed killer, but it's still.
He needs a stouter spray. It's not killing the trees.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
I make this motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brown to declare it a nuisance, second by Mr. Morrison. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Site plan architectural review.
We don't have any today.
Alrighty. Next meeting will be held Thursday, August 28, 2014, beginning 9 a.m. We'll have a motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Bishop. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Moving on, we will call the work session meeting to order. Rankin County Board of Supervisors. Let's see here. We got attendees, Bearden Construction. Jim Anderson.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
This is getting to be a regular occurrence. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have based on the old business we had the last meeting. That we were trying to get a motion to manager for the multipurpose building, and I want to make myself available again if we can answer any questions. You had some unanswered questions before.
I don't think anyone had anything else.
Well, you had a couple you had mentioned the other day. That'll be a good time to ask him.
No, I asked a question the other day.
No, that's after that, when you're talking about,
Sure.
golf, go-karts and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, as far as a multi-purpose building, consider a multi-purpose building, we were talking about how we would utilize that as more as a multi-purpose building rather than just for equine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why whenever I talk to the board about it, of all what's out there. So I guess
Oh,
that
sure.
manager would be seeking other organizations, I guess, to be able to utilize it.
Using it for a lot of other things.
Right,
just
right.
other than livestock, but
Right. And it really wasn't a question, it was more of a, just a statement that, I know there's people been coming to me asking about the use of the facility, so.
we want it to be used.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I
Completely.
think what I wanted you, now I'm thinking about the way you had a question about it being open to Rankin County residents.
Right.
And then, you had a good point. Question came up, okay, somebody comes out there and wants to ride the horse or work their horse, that's one thing. What if somebody comes out there and wants to test run their go-kart around in it? That is a good point. I mean, I guess what he was saying was, where do you draw I don't know how to say draw the line, because if someone, if it's raining and wants to come out there and throw a ball to his two sons, and
Where's-
someone wants to ride a horse because it's raining, I guess that's was a good point to bring up.
Sure.
And I really had not addressed that or given that a lot of thought.
Well, not me either about the go-kart practicing, but if we have a manager there, abilities are, they can make that decision. If it's not something already scheduled there and it's not interfering with other planned events, then, that would be up to y'all and the management to decide that. We certainly want it to be available for Rankin County citizens of all,
Right.
uses. We certainly are here representing livestock mainly, but we certainly are wanting to keep that facility utilized.
Right.
If we mentioned scheduled times for, a certain, like Tuesday, Thursday from 3 to 10 at night or something for them to come ride. That's open to the public.
Right.
If it's somebody from out of the county or, some from out of town, then they would have to schedule that and pay a fee. But we want it to be open to, for most.
That we need to ask, about policy going forward. I'm sure there's lots of things that we need to address, but
Well, now I
until
think,
we hire somebody
Right.
and get somebody in here, we can't really,
No.
we're spinning our wheels.
well, I think that's what we kind of come to the conclusion until we did hire someone, the questions, that's why I was kind of raising to these guys to make them aware that, there are certain people out there that have been coming asking versus, when we do hire someone.
Well, why don't we go ahead and advertise the job? That way we can hire somebody and get them moving down the road.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with that.
Have we advertised the job yet? Why don't we do that?
Well, what I need is the authority to do that and to hire someone.
Right,
Okay?
authorization.
I don't have the authority to do that yet. A couple points is received your letter. It's not a lot different than the budget that we were looking at to start with. Okay.
Right. We tried to make it in the
Okay,
same
and
parameters.
secondly, there's one point I'd like to clear up, though, and it's something I should have cleared up earlier. The previous employee was the scheduler. He was contracted to schedule. He was never contracted to manage the facility. So he never was the manager of the facility. Now, what we're talking about is hiring manager. Budget is approved as part of the overall budget process. We can move on with that. I have taken the job descriptions that was submitted, expanded it, meaning fleshed it out, to, I think, handle the stuff, to be able to make the decisions that were that have been asked this morning. So the job description is ready to go. All we have to do is do the advertising, but we need the authority to do that. I can't do that just because I want to.
Have we, and Hoopy, I appreciate that, have we come to and I see on here that you had submitted, a proposed budget. Have we come to the?
Well,
We
we have the proposal there that the salary, I think, would be in the neighborhood of what,
45,000.
35 plus fringes. And so yeah, that's part of the budget.
Okay. So you're saying 35 plus fringes?
Well, yeah, and that's open. I mean, there's no firm decision been made on that.
So we could look at it.
Yes, I can do that. I can do that. And
Pretty extensive. I mean, it's a good job description, but he's definitely got it.
Kind of going to have to have a hat for everything?
Yeah.
Job description?
Yeah.
Okay.
A hat for
I don't want
everything.
to hire somebody and say, oh, well, that wasn't in the job description.
Well, I think that this one is, I've spent some time in research, and I
He's-
have experience.
A lot based on the job description. that
Yes,
we-
yeah.
this committee-
What was included in their proposed
Right,
job description
right.
is included.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the
Yeah.
proposed budget we sent was 45,000. Hire a person that can take that responsibility,
Yeah.
the right type of person that would do the job properly and represent y'all well. You're not gonna find them, I don't think, for 35. You're gonna get
All
a
right.
part-time
All
effort
right.
like you got last time.
All right, okay. We, I can, we'll go forward. We'll take all of that under advisement.
Sure.
It's made, then we'll move forward.
But as far as, go ahead and give you, say, authorization to look into hiring one, we could go ahead and do that now.
Sure.
I think we can, but it's going to put.
Yeah,
gonna
but
put
but
Hoopy
don't
on a-
expect one to be hired just on the authorization to go look for
No, I
one.
didn't say that.
And he still
Okay.
needs some direct. Because we've got to give him the authorization, so. he's
Well, we
gonna
ought to be
know
able
that.
to do a range, salary, because
Right.
I'm sure someone we may have is gonna,
Mm-hmm.
have some flexibility and say, well, no, I do 38.
Commensurate with experience, I
Yeah,
would think.
right.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, once the
think we ought to have
individual comes in and you select down the few, 2 or 3 that you front runners, at that
Right.
All right.
If you do that, which I'm hoping you will go and vote on it, can you get us a time frame to get a person there? We need somebody there as soon as weeks. Give their employer a couple of weeks notice so they can change jobs and maybe get somebody in by October. That would be nice. If we could get somebody by the beginning of your
I would
fiscal
think so.
year, that would be a
That should be
good time
doable.
frame.
Yeah, they'd be, go into a new budget.
Yeah.
So,
I don't see
Well,
where
y'all
that'd
wanna-
be. Finding the right person, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
understand, because I've interviewed quite a few people of different jobs in my entire career, and just trying to find that specific person. Sometimes it's not the easiest because you're talking about an events coordinator, basically. I mean, it's one that is a manager events coordinator that knows all aspects of
that
that.
can drive a tractor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can handle all the aspects of that, and
That's one reason we had that amount we had in the proposed budget. We trimmed other things so that we could get that monetary amount to get a good qualified person to be there that would show up for work, have that building on his agenda every morning, and be there to answer the phone, be available to y'all, and be out there promoting the use of the building in a manner that y'all would be happy with.
right.
I think a couple weeks. We can post it on our website. and even put it in the paper,
Yeah.
the local paper, but a couple weeks.
I think like what you're hearing is you will be seeing,
Yeah.
we'll be starting to advertise for that. So
Well, we need is this something we need to add to the agenda then to
authorize
give
you.
the authorization?
I think we do.
Okay. Well, I make a motion to add to the agenda something.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Brown to add this item to the agenda. Any more questions? All in favor say aye. So do I have a motion to
I make a motion
authorize?
to authorize the county administrator to advertise for a multipurpose manager for the multipurpose building.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, Bearden Construction.
Mr. President, I asked Janice to go in front to confirm that there has been no communication here this morning. There has been no communication with our staff
Okay.
about his either presence or absence. So
What are we supposed to do?
Now, wait,
it was just a public comment. He had indicated his desire to be here to express his position on the board's decision to go with another bidder on the proposal concerning the old Highway 49 drainage project.
Yeah.
Have shown up to give any public comment on it.
right.
Oh,
I
that
just
was,
wanted you guys to know, no
Okay.
one's contacted us to say
You,
that they would or would not be here today.
I've had several emails and,
wasn't that the one where like they weren't qualified?
Correct.
Didn't meet the specs.
didn't,
Where
yeah.
they from, Brookhaven?
And Craig had we had offered him an opportunity. In fact, I think he requested.
Okay.
That's the board.
All right, moving along. Craig Slade, Board of
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thank y'all.
Mr. President, with your indulgence, I've asked Ms. Becky Pouncey to come forward. She's our Deputy Circuit Clerk. The first item under my section is a discussion with you guys of House Bill 836, and Ms. Becky is here on behalf of the certification of the receipt of a petition from the Reservoir Foundation Incorporated. That's a private nonprofit corporation that has, as it's stated, support of the Pearl River Valley Water Supply District area, the reservoir area, issues related to the water. They put on a lot of events, and so as part of their nonprofit work, it's a community service organization. And the community service organization known as Reservoir Foundation, Inc. has taken the responsibility community residents that live on Pearl River Valley Water Supply District property to sign a petition that has three statements within it that they are certifying to by signing the petition. Number one, they're indicating that they live on property that is owned or controlled by the Pearl River Valley Water Supply District. These would be residents of the reservoir, but they are under lease with PRV. The second certification that they're making is that they're registered voters of Rankin County. And the third statement that they're indicating is that they are desiring an election be called on the question of whether the property that is known as the PRV property will be granted qualified resort status under Mississippi law. House Bill 8 was passed by the Mississippi Legislature in March, signed by Governor Bryant on March the 17th, and went into effect on July the 1st. House Bill 836 allows for a special election upon presentation to the Board of Supervisors of a petition that contains a minimum of 20% of the eligible voters who live on property owned and controlled by the Pearl River Valley Water Supply District who are eligible voters, and who are asking that the election be called. The petition that was provided by the reservoir contained 2,195 signatures. She has gone through the process as required by HB 836 to verify and confirm that the people who signed have their name, address, and their signature displayed, and that they actually meet the requirements of the statute, which is that they own or live on property owned by PRV. 20% of the eligible voters of PRV property is 1,424 voters. The petition contains 2,195. Ms. Boyd and her staff have confirmed that well in excess of 1,500 of those signatures and individual names and addresses meet the technical definition of the petition to indicate that they have met the requirements of HB 836. And so I've got Ms. Pouncey here. She has the certification document. I'm going to accept that. She also has copies of the petition. If you guys are interested in looking at these petitions, we have those here along with all the pages that are composed of this. 295 signatures, and so we have those available for review. The certification statement here, I'll just read the most salient parts of this certification statement. I certify that the number of verified names, addresses, and signatures contained on the petition referenced herein is greater than the number corresponding to 20% of the eligible. She has performed this service in her capacity as the duly elected and qualified Rankin County Circuit Clerk and County Registrar, and she has done this in conformity with House Bill 836. So that certification, Mr. President, will be received from the Circuit Clerk by the Board of Supervisors. There is a next step in the process. Thank you, Ms. Becky. And if you'll just, do you mind? I'll just keep these. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna keep this.
When will this, when will we have to set up?
Yeah, I've got the next step is a resolution that I will discuss with you momentarily. I didn't want Ms. Becky to have to stand around.
Thank you, Miss Becky.
Thank you.
These are the originals, so we'll want to, if we're gonna have copies of these, Ms. Becky has to keep these. If we're gonna make copies for ourselves, I'll ask Ms. Janice to help me with that.
We just make sure those go into the records, right? Public
That's
records.
correct, and so that there's no question about what was reviewed and what was certified to. Okay, so we've got the certification document. Next, what happens next? Now that a petition has been presented and has been verified by a circuit clerk, what is the next step in the process? The next step in the process is to obviously look at House Bill 836 and see what it requires of this board so that you guys understand. Again, the petition is asking for an election. Property will be granted qualified resort status under Mississippi law. The HB 836 amends a code section of the Mississippi Code that authorizes the establishment of qualified resort areas in Mississippi. It's done at the legislature level. It's done at the state level. But there are requirements that involve the local level in order for this to happen. A qualified resort area under Mississippi law is spelled out in Code Section 67-1-5. There are a number of areas that can qualify for resort status if it meets certain definitions and or if elections are authorized and conducted and a majority of the residents like for it to be granted qualified resort status. This petition falls into that category. It's not automatic. There has to be an election on the issue. And I will read from that House Bill 836 amended. before an area may be designated a qualified resort area as defined by the code section that addresses the PRV. An election shall be held in the area, that is the PRV, under the election laws applicable to counties on the question of whether the area shall be a qualified. An election to determine whether the area shall be qualified as a resort area shall be ordered by the Board of Supervisors upon presentation to the board of a petition containing the names of at least 20% of the duly qualified voters of the area described, asking for the election. I emphasize that for a reason. Once a petition has been received by the board and certified by the clerk, there is no discretion about calling the election. In accordance with this code section and others, I have prepared a resolution. You'll be surprised to find out and learn that it's single space, 4 pages. And so I apologize for the length. At this point, I want to segue into a quick and brief discussion with the board about what we're dealing with here. This is somewhat of a unique animal. The calling of a qualified resort election in a municipality is a unique occurrence. There is no other example that I'm able to find, and I passed the same question by the Attorney General and by the Secretary of State's office, and they are not aware of any situation ever having occurred in Mississippi where a resort status election or what would otherwise be known as a local liquor referendum municipal context. So it's very unique in that we are dealing with an election process that is not controlled by a municipal clerk and a local municipal election commission and a balloting and voting process that deals with a city election of some kind. The referendum that Pearl had, the referendum that Flowood had, and the most recent is the referendum that Brandon had. All of them are municipalities. All of them are municipal election based. And so generally speaking, to deal with these kinds of elections within the context of a municipal election. So it's been difficult to work through the process of how to translate this process over to a county type election. This is very important to understand. Not every citizen of Rankin County is eligible to vote on this question. Once this election is, are voters who reside on property owned or controlled by the PRV. So it's limited in scope. It's municipal-like, if you will. So we will have to go through a process of placing a notice in the paper about the call of the election. Again, you guys, it's just a question of when. But we'll have to go through a notice in the newspaper, and then there will be the preparation by Ms. Becky. She's already left. There will be the preparation by Ms. Pouncey of a poll book that contains only the names of voters who are eligible to vote on this election, which would be people that own property, that's PRV. The election of the district itself has already been established. I don't want to get too far afield, and I apologize for monopolizing the conversation, but just to briefly explain that process, Jay,
Yeah.
Here's how it works. County that is going to be eligible to vote on the question, first time this has ever been done in Rankin County. We actually had to go to CMPDD and get their help of generating address ranges and street names for what is PRV property. That information was put and dumped into the statewide election. Spit out of SIMS is a a listing of all voters who are registered Rankin County voters who live within those address ranges.
Do we also have that information on our county system?
No, sir.
So
We don't
we
have
can't- we have to-
anything that is broken out by just PRV property. Okay? So it's been a team effort all the way around, everywhere from helping us make sure we had all the addresses there, CMPDD with their database, being able to put together on a large scale address ranges, coming back to Miss Becky, and then she was basically having a combination effort between her and the folks at the Secretary of State's office to make sure they had the data right. How many voters fall in that area?
So,
The total number of voters
Yeah.
in that area is 7,120. That's how we came up with what's 20% of that.
Uh-huh.
So 1,424 is 20% of 7,120. Again, the poll book will reflect all 7,120 voter names, addresses, et cetera. That'll all be available. Election. Okay?
And coming up with that process and to help pay for all this.
Yes.
Who's paying for all this?
Yes.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Who's
glad you
paying and-
asked.
Who's paying and how much?
I'm glad you asked. We very quickly, early on in the process, we got with Miss Becky at Circuit Clerk's office and requested her assistance to come up with some sort of estimate of what and coordinate all this would be. She came up with the figure. That figure was provided to the Reservoir Foundation, and the Reservoir Foundation has entered into a contract with Miss Becky to provide all of these services. There will be no cost to any taxpayers for conducting this election. Okay, so that's handled by contract, and all of everything that I'm telling you about has been checked off as authorized by both the Secretary of State and the Attorney General.
Okay.
Okay, the last question I've got, who, just, if it is adopted, if it's voted on, who will have control? Is it gonna be the Sheriff's Department? Is it going to be the PRV, patrol? Who's ultimately responsible for the operation out there, I guess, as far as any kind of thing that comes down the pipe?
Governing body.
Governing body.
I'm working with the Attorney General. In fact, I've got briefly listened to from Phil Carter, who is the attorney. He's actually retired. He works, and he's back under contract with the AG. Mr. Carter has written the majority of election-related AG's opinions over the past 20 years. And so he obviously is a recognized expert on election-related matters under state law. Two separate AG's opinions which indicate that the PRV will be responsible for setting up and regulating the area that is, if it passes, it will be PRV's responsibility to set up and establish regulations related to PRV's purview. The issue of public safety is going to always be a combined effort between Reservoir Patrol field, but I think it should be clear in the minds of everyone that that it will be impossible to keep folks who may imbibe on PRV property, contain to PRV property. They're going to get out into the county, and once they leave PRV jurisdiction, I have joint jurisdiction with PRV to address those issues.
Where will the tax revenue go?
Well, the
For
as you
things that
know,
it's gonna
future
draw
growth.
the PR,
Right.
the North
As
South
you-
bring in.
as you guys know, PRV is a state agency.
Right.
They do not participate in sales tax revenue. Derives, and I'm talking about sales tax, the state of Mississippi
Right.
derives all sales tax that is produced on state property.
Unless that area incorporates.
Or until
There's two
the bill
options
gets
that I can
passed.
think of.
Yeah.
There's
Until the
two
bill
options.
gets passed.
There's two options that I can think of. Yes, the area can be annexed, and then it would fall into that municipality. And sales tax.
Well, unless they just want to incorporate themselves.
They could do that. Now, whether or not an annexation will materially affect the way that that state property is treated
right.
is a different question.
Right.
But the second option is that the legislature could, in fact, entertain and pass a sale, like a that issue of how the PRV could derive revenue.
And what does resort status grant them the ability to do?
It grants them the ability to authorize of alcoholic beverages, and I'm not talking about just beer. It's liquor.
Mixed
The
drinks.
same thing they kind of looked
glass?
at last year.
By the
Last
glass
session.
or?
Yes, sir, by the glass. And you're
What
talking
about-
about the Pearl, Flowood, and Brandon, the referenda that have passed recently for those three municipalities. This is in the exact, it's just been amended to
So it'll be by the
to
glass.
stick
by the glass
PRV
on.
in there.
So it
with-
doesn't allow for liquor store still.
Oh, no.
Okay.
And it doesn't address the scope of regulation. It just says it may be permitted. Basically, it says, okay, you're authorized, now you go regulate that. All right, so it would fall, again, I'm working from advice and counsel that's coming from the AG's office. I have not studied these opinions yet, and to be honest with you, it's premature. We got to get an election set, and then we got to get results, and then we'll figure out where I stand right now. I'm being led to believe by folks that really ought to know that this is going to be PRV's responsibility to regulate.
So they'd be the ones that set hours of operation and everything. Okay, be just like a municipality.
But we'll be,
You don't have
we, the
those
county,
regulations,
as in
do
the
you?
sheriff, will be based upon their setting of the regulations, though.
Yeah. Well, obviously, they're not going to regulate things like rules of the road, Greg, so.
No. But
DUI.
what I'm saying is they'll set pretty much anything they want to set, but we'll have to abide and help with them to enforce.
Yeah. What is being permitted and authorized is exclusively. If it's PRV property, Reservoir Control has primary jurisdiction.
Yes. The only thing that happens is, where the businesses are on Reservoir Patrol property, we investigate the crime. Like I said, if there's a business burglary, we investigate it, but anything else, they handle, if there's a unit available to handle.
So, control, the sheriff provides cooperative
Just like a
law
municipality.
enforcement.
Just about like you do at a municipality that needs your help.
If I may, the resolution, I will not bother to go through all of this. There are highlights that I want to point out,
You can't
okay?
skip through those 2,000 pages?
The code section that I read to you, and I've set this out in the resolution, the section states that an election, and I put this bold under upon presentation of the required signatures. And the point being made is that there is no discretion of this board regarding the setting of the election. I have a paragraph here that sets out and lays out what I just walked through with you, that petitions were received that they've been certified by the clerk, that the clerk's certificate says that it meets the requirements. Pursuant to presentation of the required petition, the Board of Supervisors is required by law to set an election on the question of whether the defined area will be granted status as a qualified resort area. Accordingly, the Board of Supervisors has no discretion as to whether the election on the question shall be called. And then I want to walk through with you guys quickly how the election is going to look, okay? Since this is somewhat unique. First and foremost, in consultation with the Reservoir Foundation representatives, in consultation with the PRV, the decision was made that, and the Secretary of State's office as well weighed in on this, along with the AG, the issue of whether or not there should be absentee balloting was discussed at length. The decision allowed should be promoted. That this should be no different than any other election in that respect. Ms. Becky is aware of that, and because of those requirements, we're going to try to get enough room. Absentee balloting process. That's the typical absentee balloting time frame, 45 days prior to the election. And so in order to achieve that time frame, we need to set the election far enough out to both allow for the notice to go out and for the absentee balloting to begin. So the proposed date for the election, we selected a Tuesday. That's when folks are used to voting. As the election date. The hours of the election will be 7 to 7 on September 23rd. There will be one polling place, which is the Reservoir Community Center. That's Spillway Road. The Rankin County Election Commission will provide the appropriate number of poll workers and shall oversee the election process to include, but not be limited to, scheduling preparation of the polling place, conduct the polling activity, count the ballots, certify the results. The code section requires this board to place notice of the election. The AG's office is of the opinion that, thank the Lord, we are only responsible to put the notice in the newspaper. It's a 30-day requirement, so we have plenty of time to make that happen. I'm office and with Ms. Becky to make sure that our notice contains all of the information that it needs. But we'll get that worked out. This section of your resolution just simply acknowledges that you do have the responsibility of notice, and that notice will be provided. Okay? The code section goes further and even lays out exactly how the ballot has to appear. The following words printed on them: for the establishment of a qualified resort area, and then next below, against the establishment of a qualified resort area. And the voter is instructed that they are to mark the ballot next to their choice. Again, as I said, absentee balloting is going to be authorized. Was made that in addition to the published notice in the newspaper, that this board go further, even though it's not mandated by the statute, go further and authorize the placement of additional public notices to voters within the area defined and document those additional locations. And so I'll get together with the PRV, and we will figure out what are the best places to put additional notices.
But again, let's clarify again. Now, as far as public notice, everything is on PR. Tax money from Rankin County will be used to hold this election.
Except for putting on the election.
Shouldn't be that either, right?
The election itself is being paid for by virtue of a contract between the Reservoir Foundation Incorporated, which is a private, nonprofit
Okay,
company,
okay.
under contract with our circuit clerk. The fee is designed to cover the costs of
Okay.
preparing the election, coming up with the poll books, doing the certification that's already been done, and running the election.
Publicity and everything. Making sure, I mean, if they want to send a letter to every single person out there, it would be on their dime.
Yes.
Okay.
Although I don't know that they have authorization information that they would need to do
Right.
that with accuracy. So that is a process. The notice to voters is a process that's controlled by the Secretary of State and by our circuit clerk.
By the Sims, basically through Sims.
Yes, sir.
2 questions. Is there a minimum number of people who have to vote?
No, sir. Let me read. Of amended section 67-116, paren 4. The area may be established as a majority of the qualified electors voting in the election vote for such establishment. A qualified resort area may not be established if a majority of the qualified electors voting in the election vote against such establishment. So your next question is, and Jay's next question is, so you're telling me that if 10 people show up and vote and 6 of them vote in favor, it passes? Answer, yes.
Right.
Okay.
Got the majority.
Can you ask for a recount?
On their dime.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I have, and I believe the agenda allows for the board to take action on this today, and I would suggest that it would be appropriate for us to take action to adopt this resolution
All right.
today.
I just want to clarify one. Understand this. We have no choice but to set this election.
You're exactly correct.
Are we setting
You have
election
no discretion.
by this resolution?
I'm sorry?
Is the date of the election already set?
Yes,
in
sir.
this
The resolution sets the election for September the 23rd,
Okay.
2014, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Reservoir Community Center.
Motion to approve.
Got a
Second.
motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Brown. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Well spoken there, Mr. Slade.
You get all that, Mark?
I like the way you narrowed down those,
That was pretty quick on having to get all that
hit the
down.
high points.
Now y'all are just trying to embarrass me, that's all. All right.
You got B?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Attorney Chris Palmer.
Okay. Now that I've gone through all of that, the item B is the approval of a contract between the board and Attorney Chris Palmer at the rate of $200 per to provide his expertise on potential amendment of our solid waste plan. I don't,
Yeah, why are we
bottom
doing
line,
it?
I don't have time to deal with this. I've got the True the Vote case, which is killing me. I'm dealing with this PRV election, which do what it takes to make this come off correctly, if it's going to come off.
What are we
So,
changing?
on the solid waste plan?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you guys were aware. I'm sorry. This is the Denali water request. Do you remember the guys that showed up that explained that what they do is they go out to places that create sewage type
They dispose of
waste
solid
product?
Right.
with generators
Yeah,
of waste product?
You know, I've been told that we're all for this, and we are not all for this. We're not pushing this.
Right,
So
right.
why is
my thing of it is, why are we having to pay this when they should be paying for it if they're the one pushing it? What, I guess.
Well, that's true.
It's two things, Greg. Number one, that's already been acknowledged. The company that is seeking permission to have the waste plan amended has already acknowledged that it should not be the case of amending our plan for their purpose.
Right.
All right? That's already been acknowledged. Here's the difficulty. It's uncomfortable, to be quite honest, to be in the position of hearing we will be glad to pay
Yeah.
for all of this work that goes into whether or not it's going to be amended, because there's that it's going to get amended. All right, so I'm not interested in discussing reimbursement to the county of those costs on the front end. Whether or not it wants to amend it without the pressure of trying to figure out how we're going to get the county reimbursed for the costs associated with this.
Huh.
All right? So that's a discussion for another day, but it's already been acknowledged.
Okay.
All right? So I think we can deal with that. Now, Denali goes under contract with generators of waste product, and with that work, they take the waste product to their facilities, they treat it, they bring it into a non-hazardous state, and then they have agreements with landowners, voluntary agreements with landowners, to then apply that treated material to the landowner's land. This entire process is governed by DEQ.
Right.
Number one. And one of DEQ's requirements is, before we will let you do that in Rankin County, disposal plan has to allow for this to happen, which means we've got to amend our plan, which is a highly regulated process that DEQ is intimately involved in, lots of paperwork, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if I may, Jay, I don't have time to fool with that. I'm slaying. My hope is, because Chris has done this for the county multiple times already, he's very familiar with the process. He's done it enough, he can do it in his sleep. It's not going to be as taxing for him to do it as it would be for me, because I'd have to learn and get up to speed on all this stuff.
Well, is it, they're coming under different,
Waste Solutions,
yeah,
doing business as Denali Water.
okay, all right, same ones, yeah, right. I've not heard anybody that, asked, is it gonna happen?
No, I was just told that their sales rep or individual their company is that supervisors were pushing it, and we were all
Oh.
for it.
I'm not, I don't say
And
pushing it,
The
but it's
only
not,
thing
I'm not really,
I knew we
not
did
against it.
was, we said, since it's legal, we allow it to happen. So,
We'll make it available if they want to take advantage of it,
Yeah.
and they can.
I
but
got
as
several.
long as it doesn't, I mean, early on, the technology stuff in the soil, and it created some fly
Smell problems.
fly
Odor,
problems.
Right.
Well,
I
it
think-
ain't
I
any
mean,
wait a
worse.
minute,
that
you're
might
talking
have
about,
been the
you're
heart of
talking
District
about the
3.
chicken stuff. This is
time.
different.
No.
This is human
Well, it's
waste.
the same thing, only, I mean, a different product they're injecting.
It's organic.
Yeah, know exactly where they were injected, so.
Jay, let me stress one more time. This is a process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
It has to do with our solid waste plan.
That's right.
This is a DEQ regulated
right.
deal.
Yeah.
They're
I was just
stricter
making-
regulated here than are in other states. I sat in on a couple of the
Yes.
little meetings, and
Yes.
they won't let them do some things here that they'll allow in other states, like stockpiling. Can't do it here. It has to be put out within like 4 hours and covered. they'll actually allow them to stockpile it and, you know, spread it like they do chicken fertilizer.
Yeah, I
Chicken
don't-
fertilizer can sit up there forever.
I don't know how well it works though, from people I've talked to.
Landowners,
Asking-
it's the landowners, strictly their
I got you.
call.
No, I was just making a point that, you know, that we aren't pushing this.
I'm just asking
Yeah.
for you
Okay.
guys' help. Let's get Chris on board and authorize him to move forward with the amendment work, and then you guys will have an opportunity to consider whether you want to allow it.
Okay. Do I have-
Then at some later date, after all this, then
He said at a
That's what
later
he said.
date.
Denali has already acknowledged that, and they understand that we need to be prepared to reimburse the county for its expense in amending its solid waste plan. That was their idea.
All right, motion to approve.
Brown, any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Y'all understand, I don't want to go to them and say, yeah, go on and send us a check,
Right.
because of the appearance that would.
Correct.
Would suggest our decision about what to do with this
Right.
is related to whether or not they're gonna agree to pay. I don't want us to be in that position.
Well, hopefully we'll get,
We're gonna ask for Denali to reimburse us regardless.
I'm talking about the other, the true the vote.
Oh,
How much
yeah.
time you spent on that?
Okay. Can we move on to
Yes,
item C?
sir.
All right.
C.
Item C, interesting. This is you guys, we've already discussed this, by the way, in a prior meeting. Authorization to issue a check payable to Energy in the amount of half of the cost to relocate the power lines on 049 drainage project. The initial request from Entergy was for us to pay the whole bill, which was close to $15,000. We worked with Entergy and arrived at a better deal, which is half of it. They're going to take care of half of it, we'll take care of half of it. You need to understand as well that one of the issues involved here was that showed that the lines are not actually in the county's right-of-way, but contain completely to right-of-way that they own and control. I was not satisfied their legal description gave them any sort. Disagreed, but not so strongly enough that they didn't want to come back and knock their bill down by half.
So they cut it in half. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Bishop. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
I want to thank Mr. Parker and his engineer, Chris Bass, who worked on this. I really appreciate their work in doing that. They are responsible for what happened.
Right.
Good.
Thank you.
He woke up. True the vote. I mentioned this briefly a while ago. It's been a very lengthy process. This is a shortened process. True the Vote has filed a lawsuit. The Rankin against Delbert Hoseman as Secretary of State, against the Mississippi Republican Party, and against 9 county election commissions. One of the 9 is Rankin County. With your authorization, I have been defending the Rankin County Election Commission. We've had one hearing last Thursday where the Houston area in Texas came to Jackson and convened an unusual and quick hearing to determine whether or not at True the Vote's request that would allow True the Vote, its representatives, to have access to the Rankin County poll books from the U.S. Senate primary elections. You guys may remember that the McDaniel campaign filed a state court suit in Rankin County Circuit Court asking for without a redaction of certain personal voter information. Judge Chapman denied their request, refused to enter an order on their behalf, and explained to them that if they wanted to see the poll books, they would see the poll books without any date of birth information for our voters present, and that with our clerk having to redact or shield from view the dates of birth. The next day after the judge entered his order, the campaign representatives came to Ms. Becky's office. She and her staff sat there with the poll books and allowed them to conduct their inspection. It took about 6 hours. They conducted their inspection. The judge had ordered them to pay up front. And that review was completed, and we have not heard from the campaign since. At least I haven't. So as far as I'm concerned, that matter's at an end. Parenthetically, you know that the Supreme Court entered its final order denying the campaign's request for a rehearing on another judge's order. And so that issue has now been settled under Mississippi law, that even the in the poll books, okay? So that's where that stands at state law. The True the Vote case doesn't involve state law. That's why it's filed in federal court. They are asserting, and citizens affiliated with them have the right to inspect Mississippi county poll books with the date of birth information in it, and that we cannot exclude that under Mississippi law because there's a federal law that says they get access to it. That law is called was passed by Congress in the early 90s, before there was an internet. Well, not before there was an internet, before there was an internet as we know it. Before the onset of a lot of our credit fraud, identity theft, before the onset of all of that. The law about what can and cannot be excluded from voter registration information. But they are asserting about that the counties that are defendants and Mr. Hoseman and the Mississippi Republican Party are all in violation of the National Voter Registration Act on the basis that the poll books should have been made available and were not. That fight is so. We're up in the middle of that. Because of the time frames that are associated with this litigation and how that relates to the upcoming general election in November, down into a very tight timeline. And so the parties are responsible for briefs and motions and other court-related stuff that I have to tend to on a short process. One of the reasons why I asked for help with this solid waste plan, okay? So to give you guys a quick update on that, we don't know where it stands, no final decisions have been made. Defendants can be dismissed from the case, allow the Secretary of State to stay in, and then the counties will simply follow what the court rules as it relates to the Secretary of State. I don't know if that's going to get done or not. At this point, it's too early to say, but that's our hope. Okay? Any questions?
Nope.
Too tired to review the August 4th items with y'all.
You should be.
Y'all got any questions, let me know.
Okay. So, Mr. J.K. Stringer, County Administrator.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
The first item is the authority to pay conference fee in the amount of $275 for Raymond Duke to attend the Mississippi FBI NAA Summer through the 7th in Gulfport and pay any travel-related expenses.
Motion approved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. President, is one that has come up in conjunction with engineering services moving their headquarters. Apparently, he has out there a room that is about 30 by 24 that is chock-a-block full of Rankin County plat information. And to be quite honest, that's probably the only place in the world it exists. In the move of his headquarters, he is not desirous to move all of that paper. He would like to scan it, put it on digital, in the digital format, and then not only will he have access to it, we'll have a copy of it also. So the best estimate at the moment is that it will cost up to but I think it's something that needs to be done whether he was moving or not, quite frankly. So I request that you give authority to reimburse them for doing.
By Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Morrison. Questions?
And the only comment I have is, it'd be nice before we get too far into it, get with Rusty so that we'll be able to know how to access that information.
Right.
So it'll be done in a way that we can use it.
Good point.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And Buster, you're not going to be the actual one doing this, right? Because it'll take forever, so I figured.
I appreciate that overconfidence, yes, sir, but no, I won't be. Right.
Yeah. All right.
Any more questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is one that is here to appoint a replacement for Dr. William Dotson to the Hinds County Community College Board as the Rankin County representative. Just some quick background on this. Dr. Dotson has had that. However, he has submitted his letter of resignation because of apparently some health issues, and I don't know what that means. Okay, but now we actually in the county have two representatives to that board. First is the superintendent of education, which is on it by his position. The second is has been Dr. Dotson, who is at the pleasure of this board, basically. It is unlimited term. It is until somebody else is appointed by y'all to replace him. Well, he has retired now, and it is that Dr. Burns be appointed as his replacement by this board.
I object to that. You know, it's always been the superintendent of Pearl School, and I would prefer to be Dr. Ray Morgino. The only reason Dr. Dobson's on there now is the previous superintendent allowed him to stay. Burns, but it's just been the way it's been since before I got here.
Okay. Who would you recommend?
Dr. Morgino. He called me about it a couple weeks ago. I just forgot about it.
Okay.
Well, let me say this in reference to Dr. Burns. I don't know what the policy was as far as the college is concerned. You can fill that any time that you want to. And I don't know who's had it in the past. That's not my concern. I just know that Homer Burns has been good to the neighborhood that he represents, and I don't doubt that he wouldn't represent Hinds Community College in an excellent way. And I'd like to make a motion that he replaced to fill that vacancy. I'll make that in the motion.
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Brown for Dr. Burns. I've got a second. Questions?
Well, I mean, here we got two now. I mean, that's the first I even knew about it, other than what's on the agenda. You know, just seeing it here. You got two that qualified. I don't. two that are out there that we have here. I mean, that's the first I even knew about it.
Yeah, this is, you know, like I said, I got a phone call week before last about it. I didn't even know that it was going to be up for discussion today. So.
Right, easy.
Well, I made a copy of Dr. Burns' resume, resume, and I put it on each one Monday.
I don't know, man. I don't know why we just changed the way it's been since the college was here.
All right, any more questions? All in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed, like sign.
Hey.
Motion carries.
Okay. The next item is the review of the agenda.
Okay.
I'm guessing since we got Larry Swells briefing us on the website that the guy's not coming today.
I'm sorry, say again.
I thought the gentleman from the company was supposed to come today and go over what they had for us, what y'all met with them about, the land records.
No, that's going to be the 4th. Just the circuit clerk, the chancery clerk
clerk's
has
convention.
his state conference going
Yeah.
this week that he is actually putting on.
Yeah.
And so that will be done on the 4th.
So are they going to demonstrate it to us on the 4th?
Well, that's my understanding.
Because it's on public comment.
Right now, the intent is that they will be on the agenda as an agenda.
Okay, I guess they'll just.
And that the chancery clerk will also be here.
Okay.
How long of a briefing? Do you know how long? Have you seen any of it? Or anything?
I've seen, yes, I've seen parts of it, but I think this is going to be in 2 parts now. One is it's the item that we're talking about here with this company, and then the second is with the chancery.
Right.
Okay. So.
Well, what we'll probably end up then doing is here, look at the website piece of it, then we'll take up the after that. So
Yeah.
try to discuss that.
Okay.
So, okay.
All right.
You know, see anything that jumps out at you?
12A.
12A.
That I'm just going to solicited petition that came in with voters, even after y'all had approved building the station, coming in supporting the building of the station. That's what that is.
Good. What's so what's the how far along are we right now as far as?
I'm going to put him on the spot, have Mr. Parker for the building of that new station or not.
I do not. We did a survey.
You did the survey. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yes,
The survey.
The survey was flipped to me. I'm going to come to Mr. Parker's.
A.
The review, the high left right reflects that the property is free and clear, we're in good shape.
Okay.
We're ready to go. There's
Yeah.
no legal impediment.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now we just need to move forward to.
Okay, we need an executive session, Mr. President.
Today?
Probably now.
Same before we
Hang on
leave.
for it.
Hey, Brian,
Yes,
that, on the consent, there's a deal for the PTS here for that voice video visitation. Is that, do we do it through them or do we do it through that other company?
It's a subcontract through, CCI.
Yeah.
We don't have to pay that $2,500. CCI is paying that. Huh?
Well, it's on our agenda
demonstration video in the parentheses. That's the same company as the correctional
Yeah, Global Tel, yeah,
communications.
CCI.
They're-
Oh, okay.
They're paying the 2,500.
Okay.
It just states that on that backup, that Global Tel link is that connection between the two.
We need a executive session.
Before we do, let me just ask this right quick. It's real simple. You remember a few weeks ago, a month ago, Representative Woodman came in here and they were gonna.
Yeah,
Timer
Dropbox
come
for the flags. Yes.
Yeah. I was contacted, the box is now here, and they were wanting to know if they could go ahead and, since they have it, go ahead and have it, install it, and then do some type of, I don't know, ribbon cutting.
Ribbon
or
cutting,
something
whatever,
at a
right.
later date. But could they go ahead, and I wasn't sure, has there already a location of where we're gonna put it? Have we decided that?
Only thing I can think of is what we were talking about, maybe in the corridor out there, possibly. I mean, I don't see the. And having some kind of a presentation.
Right, they want to do that, but
Yeah.
since they have it,
Yeah.
it's just been delivered. And they also asked, evidently it's pretty heavy, would there be, could we get some position it?
Yes, sir.
And I just need to give them a day when they can, I say give them a day, I'll just find out when they
Yeah.
can bring it, and then I'll just coordinate, send word. Anyway, I'll just ask them.
Yeah, I think that'd be a
Okay.
great thing. Go ahead and get it.
We'll be here, so we.
Yeah,
See if you can find a date when they want to do the presentation.
well, and they may want to, what they really want to do is go ahead and get it
Get it
placed,
in, get it installed,
and then
right.
do
Yeah,
set a date.
right.
But unless they can do one the same, we'll, okay. All right, that's all. Just
Okay.
want to find out.
I make a motion to discuss the need to go into executive session.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion
Brian, this
carries.
is the-
At 11:30 today, so I'm gonna do my part, and I'll probably cut out.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, we're going.
Buster, when you put on that stuff in pasteboard box,
Sir.
put it in pasteboard box and take it down to the building.
We need the motion to go into executive session.
To discuss
Litigation. Personnel issues with the chancery.
I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We're in executive session.